Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Metzler, one of the programmers here at Est of DocFest. For the last 24 years, we've been bringing lots of interesting documentaries from around the world to here in the San Francisco area. And so it's really neat when you run across films like these in submissions. You just saw the wonderful film Peaches Goes Bananas, and we're lucky enough to have the filmmaker here. Welcome, Marie.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Very cool. And Marie's joining us from in France, or where in Europe are you at the moment?
I'm in Paris, so I'm
In Paris.
8 or 9 hours difference.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you for joining us. Maybe a good place to start is what was the impetus, the kind of catalyst for you to decide to go down this rabbit hole and make this film?
It was, as always, with all the documentaries I've made, the encounter. When I met Peaches in 2006, I was in Europe while I was living in New York at the time. It was the first time I left New York. I was documenting my first feature film with Genesis Peorage, who was The Ballad of Genesis and Lady J. And we were in Brussels and she was doing a concert. And then in the hallway of the concert hall came in costume this lady who was like, "Why are you filming Genesis and not me? Um, who are you? What is this camera that you're holding?" And I was just filming. And actually, when you see the documentary, Peaches Goes Bananas, you will see the first roll of film I ever shot with Peaches, which is edited in the film. So in 2006. And the encounter was very strong, full of energy, and very funny. And that's how we met. And as always, when I meet someone, that person, Peaches, contacted me later on when she used to come to New York a lot to see her sister. And we saw each other regularly on regular basis for coffee. And then little by little, of course, I'm very active and she's very active, and we started just filming. So there was no question there was a film to make without knowing what it would be and without knowing it would last 17 years on and off.
Oh, wow. Very cool. I'd forgotten about the Genesis Peorage movie. That's a really wonderful film, and we'd screened your Cassandra movie too at DocFest here a few years ago. Um, what kind of attracts you to the people that you're usually telling stories about? And is there something about um, these kind of public-facing entertainers that have kind of a private side that attracts you to wanting to tell the story? Or how do you choose your characters?
I don't really choose. It's always been a surprising encounter that leads me to another encounter, and the encounter provokes cinema. And I think also simply when you meet someone, you become friend with time, and there's a trust that is being established that becomes the guidance for exploring the diverse stage of the life of the person, the public figure. And to me, always there are the people I met who I made films on, there are artists who are very free. They're very much outside the norms of what is expected of them or what society expects of them. And they're often marginals. And I think that freedom, and so that freedom of the body and that freedom of what they have to say, is very much something that I've always been attracted to. And often, what I like very much is how to find behind that mask of the public figure what is hidden, and how to strip down to the more intimate and emotional way to understand how an artist creates and what is it made of in the process.
Well, it's such an interesting thing of that unraveling or peeling back the onion of that you do so well. Um, what with peaches and also some of your other subjects, obviously they're artists themselves. So, what is that collaboration process like in the sense that do they have input in the film, or do they just basically say, "Marie, you're an artist too. We're looking forward to seeing what you create." What is like um, as artists with strong, visions themselves? How do you kind of
Originality.
navigate the collaboration versus, your voice?
It's always a collaboration because, of course, I'm never interested in forcing anything. It's the more you know someone, the more you have visuals, you have ideas, and also the more I collect stories, I record just sound without filming, the more I have visions of things that would interest me personally that maybe they're not seeing or they are not seeing themselves as. And I think the collaboration is always there by the fact that they leave me that space of freedom. They're interested to see what I'm going to do, or what is my vision of them or their work, rather than what they already know about themselves. So they're very open. At the same time, they always suggest, for example, Peaches, Marie, I would love you to meet my sister Suri. I think you and her would really click. And of course, when I met Suri, that became a huge open door to a subject that interested me much more sometimes than the music itself, or it's very much linked. So then I explored that. Um, so there is always a back and forth with things I suggest or things I try to put into images or situations. And at the same time, the artist is also suggesting, for example, even for Peaches, for the concerts, like come in the backstage and film, be free to film. And of course, what I'm going to film is maybe not what they expect me to film in the backstage. Um, so, so it becomes also an open door to a sort of a detective for my eyes and for what they believe is what they think I'm filming. And then this, with time, accumulates as an amount of archives and footage and stories. And at the end, I edit for a long time, and they have no idea. They know what the film could be about because they remember very much what we shot. But at the same time, they have no idea what the form and what I'm gonna really prevail in the film. And there's no, they're very excited to see the end, but there's not like they have a way to say, I only want to say this, I only want you to edit this or that and this and that. They're more excited to see how I'm gonna put it together and what is the image or the imagery or the imagination will be at the end. So it's a very free space for both of us. And sometimes there are resistance, of course, because they're very strong characters and there are things they really think they want me to film or that, and I'm not that interested often when I'm forced to something. And at the same time, reverse, they I want something, I have an idea of a scene and they're not collaborating because it doesn't speak to them. So it's always a middle ground to find, and also a big freedom to also let go on their part, because there's kind of a unsaid contract or deal that is like confidence, in terms of trusting the other one, so they know that even in the collaboration it will be something surprising and kind and not something that would bother them.
Yeah, I can imagine. What did Peaches think of the final film, and what do you think was the most, over the course of the years that you made it, what do you think was something that most surprised you?
Me, I'm always surprised by everything because I always have an idea at some point, and then of course when you start editing, it takes another shape. But I think what she loved the result of the film. She's very attached to the film, and she was very touched by the story with her sister, and she didn't know how I would actually find a way to portray it or bring that story. And she loved the way it was edited and came into imagery, because there's a lot of fantasy, also a lot of space for emotions without telling everything. And she loved the part that is very playful. There's a playfulness in the way that I filmed Suri or the way I filmed Peaches and her gaze to her sister that she really, really loved. And for me, that's also a surprise because, of course, it's very spontaneous, the moments of shooting, but then it's how you edit so that you create um, rupture, rhythm, surprises, visuals, and suddenly it takes another dimension, and even the music takes another dimension. um, I was surprised also, for example, to see after so many years how I was filming concerts when there were concerts at the time where I could come on stage, which doesn't exist anymore. But it creates something very physical because I'm right under the table, I'm really close to their body. I'm very close to the dance, to the emotion of the music and the energy. And that's something that today you can't really film in concerts because you're always far away. There's a stage, there's guards, bodyguards. And I was surprised how physical filming a concert could become when you realize how you filmed it years later.
Oh,
It's
that is
very,
very
very.
cool. Well, nice. Well, as we wrap up, we're really appreciative of you sharing your film with us early in its life cycle. For those in the audience that would love to kind of follow your filmmaking work and career, is there a place that we can direct folks to, whether it be a website or Instagram or Facebook?
I have my website. It's www.marielosier, my name, and then and then suddenly I'm forgetting my website. Um, and then it's .com,
Okay.
.com, and
Well,
there are all my films and my paintings, my artwork, my shows, everything is on there.
very cool. Well, thanks for making such a wonderful film, and glad to have you back as part of SF DocFest. And we'll look forward to seeing what you come up to next.
Thank you so much. Is there a question more? Or?
I think that's it for today, but have a great Friday evening.
Thank you so much. And I
Yeah,
hope to hear from you about the physical screening of the film.
we will definitely do that.